Okay, there we go. Let's go. Oh, here we go. Okay, this should work just fine. Yep. I think we're going to be just fine. What's that thing? Could be easier. Although I think this audio is going to work out just fine. Let me hear that. Yep, there we go. Nice and clear. Folks are a little bit early. Although I think this audio is going to work out. Yep, but we're on the go. And so we're going to roll it. JR, the audio seems fine on my end. Yep. Actually, let me just do, hold on, everybody. I think we're good. Yep. JR, I think, yes, very great. A most solid connection. Yes, good. That's Bendy. Good. Yes. Okay. And we are standing by. And we're live, folks. Good morning, actually. Good morning, everybody. Right now, local time, it is 11:06 on this Tuesday, and Juan is on assignment. So that's why, number one, we're a little bit earlier than we normally are. And then number two, you're seeing a rather nondescript background, but that's okay because it's going to work for our purposes. And folks, it is, I don't have to tell you, it is a freezing day outside, wherever you are. Initially, I envisioned that we would do this time, and we were going to do it, well, because I'm on assignment, we were going to do it outside. But obviously that certainly is not an option based on where the temperature is on this Tuesday. So instead, this will serve as the real news. We do have good news, by the way, on this Tuesday, and that is that JR is feeling better. And folks, we have so much that we're going to get into right now. And so I just want to stay on schedule. It's 11:07 on this Tuesday. This is, yes, the real news. I have to do one more thing and then I'm good to go. And then let me just put this down right over here. Whoop. Okay, and now we're good. And I want to remind you, folks, if you check out dpetro.com, we have a number of different stories. We also have the whole situation regarding whether it's ICE. We're still the only ones that have the fact that there has been activity with ICE in Rhode Island, and that's one of the reasons I'm on assignment. And from what I understand, it's going to be upped even more. It's even going to be upped even more. So right now, I think it's so interesting to me how the state and especially the state leaders are not in sync with what we're seeing going on nationwide. Instead, unfortunately, in our part of the country, the Northeast, both Rhode Island and Massachusetts, we're seeing nonstop protests. We're seeing leaders that seem perplexed that the game has changed, and the game has changed, and it's about time that a number of them start to get in line and adapt with that. This portion of the program, though, as I mentioned, dpetro.com, make sure you check it out. And it's brought to you by the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick. Lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge, plus the market at Coesit. The Coesit Inn. Safe, plenty of free parking. They're open 7 days a week. And remember, it's a very good size if you're planning some kind of a party or gathering. The Coesit Inn is terrific. They can accommodate a large group. They can also, as I've talked about, they can accommodate a large group even when it comes to, for instance, the collation lunch. So, someone passes away, and now it's a matter of you have the funeral, you have the mass and so forth, and then afterwards, where's everyone going to go? Not a lot of restaurants at that time of day can handle a large group, whether it's 30 people or 50 people or 100 people. But I'll tell you who can handle it, the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue in West Warwick. So, folks, again, this is the real news. And I also want to remind people during this, this is pretty, the good news is the temperature, you can't ignore the weather. The temperature for next week, it starts to, thank you, Bendy. It starts to, oh, okay. It is, yeah, I could do that. I'll just leave it like that for now. I'll tilt in a moment. But folks, to me, on a day like today, depending on where you are, when the temperature is single digits, it certainly affects everything. And today is no different than that. Now, after today, well, tomorrow's actually going to be really cold. This whole week is going to be extremely cold. It starts to break a little bit on Friday when the temperature climbs to 34. But to me, good news is Saturday, 37. Sunday, 40 degrees. Monday, 40 degrees. And then in the 40s next week. And then next Thursday, it's actually even 48 degrees, flirting with 50. But doesn't help where things are now, where you have temperature feels almost, depending on where you are, like zero. But I want to just touch on, because I think a lot of people are not, I know it's not being covered enough in our local media, but what you're seeing right now, especially Congressman Seth Magaziner running around, hair on fire, pants on fire, him standing there with the teachers' unions. And, right now, whether it's Infante Green or whether it's Congressman Seth Magaziner or Gabe Amo, folks, I have told you, and I've been saying consistently, the only way to break and change the gridlock of the way things inefficiently run in the state, the only way that's going to be done is from the outside. And that's what's happening right now. I mean, what you're seeing happening is, for instance, I saw the story where Education Commissioner Infante Green is saying, well, without all this federal aid, or Seth Magaziner was there, and they were saying, well, there's going to be less teachers, and they're going to have to, there's going to be more kids in the classroom. What you're actually hearing is it is time, and by the way, folks, it is time to dismantle the public schools. The public school system in Rhode Island is a complete failure. It is ludicrous that at this press briefing yesterday, where they have Mary Beth Calabro of the teachers union, and then the other leader of the teachers union. And here's the Channel 12 story. As President Trump, the administration takes steps towards eliminating the U.S. Department of Education, local lawmakers, education leaders are sounding the alarm possible ramifications could have in Rhode Island. Good. Folks, there's nothing. Listen, we need a level playing field. The fact that we don't have school choice in the state is wrong. You don't need all of these schools. You don't need all these teachers. What the teachers unions basically operate, and anyone that has, I mean, my children attended public school, but then you have to be involved as a parent, and then you have to get them tutoring if necessary. But anyone that's been involved, all of the Rhode Island districts perform well below where they should, because it's just very expensive daycare. Now, don't get me wrong, depending on the district, there are some children that not only do well in their district, they do well in any district, and it's because of their family, and it's because of their parents, and it's because of their background. But the fact of the matter is, the Rhode Island public school system has completely failed the students. There's no better example than the city of Providence, which it's all, as the Johns Hopkins report said, and it's hard to believe that was 6 years ago now, it's too adult centric. There's nothing about the students. It's all about the adults. They weren't even having open house. They end the school day at 2:05 because of COVID money that came in that was paying them extra money to stay till 2:30. It's crazy. Of course it's not working. And all the children that are in these public schools, if they had an option, they would be in a charter school. And the difference, folks, is the Catholic schools deliver better test scores. The private schools deliver better test scores. The charter schools deliver better test scores. What is the equation that would create this type of dynamic that all these children, same age, and they're doing better in these other schools? It's the teachers union. It's because the principals don't run the school. The union runs the school. So my reaction to this is good. Let's prioritize. Let's realize you don't need as many schools open. You don't need all the teachers that they have. You don't need, and they're failing anyway. The teachers unions have destroyed education. But there's something else about Seth Magaziner and Gabe Amo, for that matter, that I want to touch on. But folks, this portion of the program, and there's something else that someone picked up on that I think is really important, and we're going to touch on it during this Real News. Again, I am on assignment. I will be, the plan is to be back this evening in time to do road patrol. I don't know how much road patrol action there will be if the temperature is in the single digits, but we shall see. But better days are coming. But folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by Propane Plus. Remember, you can depend on Propane Plus. 401-885-4209, or in Massachusetts, 508-252-3359. Propane Plus, heating and cooling, they do it all. 3 generations, it's the Johnson family. You can depend on Propane Plus. Now, they also have a very user-friendly website. It's propaneplus.com. Residential or commercial, you just type in your zip code. It's Propane Plus. Type in your zip code. You can depend on Propane Plus. Now, I received an email from Frank. Frank was asking who is the company that he heard me mention that could epoxy his garage. Frank, the company I want to contact is Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. Call Corey at 401-283-9815. 401-283-9815. I share their Facebook page, Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. So they'll seal coat driveways, parking lots. They offer crack filling, pothole repairs, line striping. They can make your pavement look like new, keep your parking lot safe, fix potholes, cracks, make sure the lines are bright, direct traffic safety. Remember, safely, if you don't have your parking lot in order, that can result in, terrible fines and so forth. They also do sports court resurfacing, pickleball, tennis, basketball. They epoxy garages and patios, decorative concrete flooring. It's quality asphalt seal coating. Call Corey today, 401 283 9815. If you can hear my voice, call Quality Asphalt Seal Coating, 401 283 9815. And remember, as I mentioned, they do the line striping, but with the pothole repairs, with the cracks, keeping the lines bright, they make sure the parking lots are ADA compliance with city and town regulations. That, folks, that's huge, because otherwise that way you avoid fines from cities and towns. Remember, give them a call. I also share their page on Facebook. Well, folks, right now, as things stand, how about yesterday? I mean, hundreds of people marching around the Rhode Island State House. And what are they marching about? They're marching about the fact that President Trump and Elon Musk, that they want to eliminate waste. But there's something else that's very significant. First of all, we don't need the Department of Education. What we're learning through a lot of what Department of Government Efficiency is doing, folks, in Rhode Island, there's so many scams built in with these federal grants. There's also a lot of scams built in with the local grants. It has to go away. This is all taxpayer money that they're trying to use that they should not be using. I think one of the best examples in some of these schools that are saying, oh, they do research and they get 70 million in grants, and without the grants they can't do the research. I mean, some of the schools that are mentioned have billions in endowments. Why do they have to get taxpayer money to do that? But there's several scams that are being uncovered. Another scam that's being uncovered is, and I actually talked about this, as Governor McKee, Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee was preaching, oh, we're embracing the green economy in Rhode Island with all of these wind jobs and the green economy. Folks, what we're learning is it's all fake. None of these, quote, companies, none of this new economy can survive without all of these taxpayer grants. It's crazy. And then the union leaders just have their friends or spouses. Folks, it's basically, it is what they've called it. It's like a large scale money laundering operation. Now, there's someone else that should be nervous, and something very significant happened. And it's going to be interesting to me how the local media is going to treat the situation as far as the Registry of Motor Vehicles, the DMV. And I want to touch on that because something very significant happened. But folks, first, I want to remind you about Kids Club on the Pike. Remember, birthday parties, before and after school programs, summer camp and preschool programs, Kids Club on the Pike. Now, they're available for private rental, either entire facility or birthday parties, other events, before and after school care. They provide transportation before and after care for school-age children ages 5 through 12, preschool, half and full day program for preschool children 3 through 5, Kids Club on the Pike. Now, the reason to get to, they're right on Plainfield Pike on the Cranston-Johnston line. You can call them at 401 443 5336, right on that Cranston-Johnston line on Plainfield Pike. It's Kids Club on the Pike. I received an email from, hold on one moment. I want to just, let me send, so hold on everybody. This is, again, it is Tuesday, and we're going to get back to the real news in just a moment. And there we go. Okay. And I just sent JR a message. Someone sent me a message, folks, that people are having problems at the registry of motor vehicles. And for some reason, without any explanation, the whole system was being shut down. Now, there's a lot of speculation. I want to remind people what we're seeing out of New York, and that is that the new Attorney General, Pam Bondi, is saying that they are going to look into going after the DMV and how they've been handing out these driver's licenses to illegals. So suddenly, without warning, the Rhode Island DMV is suddenly, oh, the system's down. Oh, we're retooling it. We're retooling the system. Folks, I'll be the first one. I mean, I don't believe that. Out of nowhere, the whole system is down. To me, it would make more sense that instead what we have is a situation that I think they're trying to get things in order, that they're almost going to be audited. And what this comes down to, remember, and we've talked about it for a while, and that is that the McKee administration, and shame on those in the media that continue to repeat the lie, but they try to tell us that the fact of the matter is that they don't keep track of how many licenses for illegals that I think that should be better, that they're giving out. That they try to say, Governor McGreevey, they try to say, oh, we don't know how many. Oh, yeah, we're not keeping track at all. Folks, there's no one that believes that. But what they fully don't recognize is this administration, as we've talked about, folks, they're not fooling around. They're taking action. And it's time for people. I don't think we're going to get it with our local media. As I look at and see some of the coverage in our local media, I don't think they're encompassing just how people really feel about how things are being done, and how it's affecting us. Channel 10 right now, vote. After 1 month in office, do you approve of the job Trump is doing overall? They refuse to call him President Trump. Now that is Channel 10. After 1 month in office, do you approve of the job Trump is doing overall? Folks, anytime Channel 10 would mention Biden, it'd be President Biden. It's not your imagination. That is completely disrespectful. It should say after 1 month in office, do you approve of the job President Trump is doing overall? That is, that's Channel 10. Our local media, they refuse to show proper respect. So now, I do want to credit Channel 10 with this I-Team report. Climbing whale deaths spark questions over offshore wind. Folks, it has absolutely been destroying the whales. And, as I've told you, I've heard from so many different fishermen off of Block Island. There's so much oil in the water, and they want to put more of these things. The fact of the matter is, it is absolutely, there's no way that this can go forward without this scam of Governor McKee and getting all these federal grants to give to these wind companies or whatever the hell they are. By the way, these companies that say, oh, without these federal grants, we can't operate. All of the people that work there are all well paid. You tell me, but look around, you see a store open, and maybe it's a new restaurant or a new sandwich shop or whatever the business is. There's no one giving them grants. That's, the small business owner, that's someone that they save their money or they get a loan and then they open their brand new business, whatever that may be. And but that's how it's done. With these companies, where Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee and others saying, "Oh, if we can't get these federal grants, these wind companies, well, then they're not real companies. If if they can't stand alone and operate without all this federal money, that's not right. That's not a real business. I don't know what that is, but I'll tell you what it's not. It's not something we should not be giving all our taxpayer money to these people. So what I want to really echo right now on this Tuesday, February 18th, is folks, again, you're not, all they're doing is reacting and complaining. Reacting and complaining. That press conference yesterday, Seth Magaziner, red alert. And without this, all students are going to be impacted. All they try to operate on is fear. All they operate on is fear. That's not even accurate. All students, well, it's not going to affect students in private school. It's not going to affect students in Catholic school. It's not going to affect all students. It's look at Warwick. Warwick doesn't need 2 brand new big high schools. The whole reason why the city of Warwick is trying to get a bond, and they're going to spend $400 million for 2 new high schools. It's it's not because there's a need. It's to give the unions the labor work. That's all it is. That's become their idea of economic development. Because all private companies have been chased away and they no longer want to do business in the state, and the unions are still trying to make their money with their no bid contracts. As a result of that, they start announcing, we need a new police station, we need a new public library, we need new schools. I like the people that went to the Warwick school committee meeting saying, well, why can't we just rehab the buildings we have? Nope, we have to build brand new. Folks, it's all because there's more money if you're building it from scratch. There's more money in the building of the foundation of the whole thing. It's not a matter of should they just rehab some of the buildings they have. Of course they should. It's about there's just more money for them, the laborers, unions, to make if in fact they do brand new schools. Is there anyone right now, if the public schools stay as is, well, I'm not convinced Warwick needs 1 new brand new high school. They certainly don't need 2. They certainly don't need 2. Folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by Watson Materials. Now remember, with all of this snow and ice out there, Watson Materials, you can contact them and they have bulk salt and ice melt available. Watson Materials, complete selection, the most complete selection of landscape materials in our area is Watson Materials. Call them 401-885-0600, 401-885-0600. Watson Materials, right on South County Trail. Call them, especially for the ice melt and the bulk salt. Get rid of, there's a lot of ice out there, folks. 401-885-0600 for Watson Materials. Well, folks, good morning, good afternoon. This is the real news. We'll see about, I know people are wondering if we're going to be out tonight. As I have talked about, the crime rate drops a lot with this type of weather. So that'll be a game time decision. Obviously, if something significant is happening, then we'd love to be out and resume that. Otherwise, folks, what you're seeing right now is other states around the country are far more self-reliant and able to control their own destiny, certainly than Rhode Island and Mass are. If anything, I kind of think that the Rhode Island officials' reaction to, like Governor McKee, it's panic alarms go off every time that there's any talk that there may be any cut in federal spending. it would seem that the entire economy is set up and designed. The whole economy is set up around. I hate to say it because it's embarrassing, but it's like a full-fledged welfare state. Everything is, not only does the state attract all these people that are in need of government services, but the state operates that way. The state operates that way as well. So, when you see all of these stories and, Seth Magaziner and Congressman Gabe Amo, and they're all in a panic. Folks, they need to, at the Rhode Island State House, they need to start dealing in reality. They need to start being reasonable. Seth Magaziner right now, it's just one full-fledged effort to try to stop or cut into the Trump agenda. The Trump agenda. The other states are adjusting to it. It's also, oh wow, that's big news. Herb Chambers to sell company to Asbury Automotive Group. I didn't realize that. Folks, it is, and whether it is all of these homeless shelters, it's just setting up an entire state that is reliant on, you can't operate that way. People need to be self-sufficient, and it's all going to funnel down. What I don't see, or I don't see or hear anyone at the Rhode Island State House who's dealing with the reality that all of this money that has hidden all their mistakes. Are there too much staff up there? Absolutely. Are they bloated? Of course they are. All of these state agencies that have multiple PR people, totally ridiculous, unnecessary. All of these state agencies that have spokespersons who, even though when something happens, you can't even get them on the phone or get them. It's all going to be shed. It's too big. It's too bloated. And I'll tell you something else that they are really going after, and that is there's too many people that their business is the business of the state, meaning their entire business is run around and centered around state government and getting money from state government. I'm telling you right now, it has to change. It absolutely has to change. I think the Rhode Island leaders can't ignore what's going to happen with the mayor of Boston, what's happening with a lot of the sanctuary cities and the sanctuary states. So I don't think they can ignore that. I think, and this is still just the first month. This has been 1 month. How would you say that our local officials have adapted in the first month? I wouldn't say they've adapted at all. There's still, it's ridiculous. These people, it's so irresponsible at the State House that they still think that they're dealing with, they're going to have a $14 billion budget. Folks, they don't need a $14 billion budget. So Elon Musk, the Department of Government Efficiency, it's to get rid of a lot of the waste. And I'm cheering them on, by the way. I am absolutely cheering them on. We don't need all of this foolish spending. It's a waste. It'll bring down the debt, less taxes. There'll be more money for people. I mean, that is the direction things need to go. Folks, this portion of the program of The Real News is brought to you by Modern Mechanical. Now remember, with this cold weather, are you having a problem with your boiler? They do boiler repair and maintenance. Right now with this cold weather, are you having a problem with your furnace? Modern Mechanical, they do furnace repair and maintenance, heater repair and maintenance, water heater repair and maintenance. Modern Mechanical. Call them. They're right on Jefferson Boulevard in Warwick. Call Richard, 401-441-5442. Again, on this Tuesday, if you're having a problem with anything to do, if you're having a problem, especially heating right now, you want to make sure it's working as efficiently as possible. Modern Mechanical, 401 441 5442. And again, if you're listening right now, listening or watching on this Tuesday, if you're having boiler repair and maintenance problems, furnace repair and maintenance problems, or heater repair and maintenance problems, Modern Mechanical. Call them 401 441 5442. Well, folks, good afternoon, or good morning, excuse me, I keep saying that. This is the real news. There's a lot happening right now. I want to remind people at 11:39 on this Tuesday, we don't have Rhode Island, Massachusetts the state that they don't have anyone that is actually in Washington trying to work with the new administration, trying to implement or go along and implement a lot of what is being done. What I see is just a lot of panic. What I see is a lot of, where is that leading? Seth Magaziner, who has decided he wants to be the face of the resistance, so to speak, where is this leading? That he just wants to have one protest after another and try to stop it. Folks, as I mentioned, the people that are really not understanding or embracing with what's happening right now is the Rhode Island State House. They don't understand. They need to budget, that their budget's going to be significantly less. But folks, this also, see, it all floats down. The state gives all this state aid to local cities and towns. It's going to be cut. It's not needed. There's way too much waste. I'm looking at this Channel 10 story that they did, climbing whale deaths. It's absolutely tied to that. A 20-foot dead whale washed up in Charlestown in December. One of several stranded whales found on beaches in southern New England in 2024. It's a trend scientists have been watching. An Atlantic coast humpback whale began January 2016, still ongoing. And so since January 2016, 244 dead humpbacks were found on the Atlantic coast between Maine and Florida, with 54 alone detected in Massachusetts and 13 in Rhode Island. And it's a huge increase in how many they've had in the past. Last year alone, 28 dead whales washed ashore in Rhode Island in Mass combined, compared to 16 in 2023, 2 in 2022, 2 in 2022, 28 last year. Folks, who can say that that has nothing to do with these stupid wind farms that are wildly inefficient? They're not providing, as President Trump said, they're the most expensive form of energy that there is. But what I've learned, and I didn't even realize at the time, is the whole element of the green energy, at least the green energy economy, as it's been described by Governor McKee in Rhode Island. The whole aspect of that, it's not real, because what he fails to include whenever he's talking about it is the only way these companies exist is through huge amounts of government grants. They can't stand on their own. So what is the point? Like I said, what is the point of that? If the only way you're surviving is as a company, we have to provide you with all of these state grants or federal grants, and believe me, I get it. Between Senator Sheldon Whitehouse and between Senator Sheldon Whitehouse and Senator Reid, I have no doubt that they're able to, secure, or they were able to secure a lot of these grants for these companies. But there's no way that they can stand alone. There's no way that they can operate on their own. Folks, this portion of the real news on this very bitter Tuesday. Listen, the good news is after this cold snap, I really think things are going to start to improve weather-wise. But in the meantime, listen, this time of year, we're spending a lot of time inside. And maybe we're spending a lot of time inside and you're just kind of looking at the walls. Arch Design Builders. Call them today, 401 207 4124. 401 207 4124. Arch Design Builders. Now remember, what can they do? They can remodel your kitchen. They could remodel your bathroom, your basement, a deck. Arch Design Builders. This is who you want to deal with. You'll notice the arch difference. The tremendous team of Ed and Roxanne with Arch Design Builders. But remember, it all starts with that phone call and conversation. 401 218 9707. 401 218 9707. Arch Design Builders. Excuse me. Goodness, excuse me, everybody. Folks, this portion of the program, I do want to say condolences to Nancy McCormick. Her mom passed away. So condolences go out to Nancy. Such a beautiful family. Thinking of Nancy McCormick. And again, our condolences go out that her mom, very loyal follower, and her mom passed away. But folks, right now at 11:46 on this Tuesday, I believe that someone has to step up. Someone has to step up and lead the charge as far as where do the people of the state, someone needs to give voice. And what I mean by that is I mean an elected official. I think the Republicans at the Rhode Island State House, I think they should be doing more. I think they should be having press conferences. I think they should be communicating more with the media. It is true that I did see a piece just the other day. They are starting to include State Senator Jessica De La Cruz in some news stories and get a quote from her. But I believe now is the time that the elected Republicans in the state need to start to really push back and send a message to Washington and send a message that the people of the state are not on board. You know, these people marching around the State House, it's the same crowd that marched in 2017. It's the same crowd that marched 2020 with George Floyd. It is, folks, it's the same, it's the left progressives who this hatred they have towards President Trump, this hatred that they have towards Elon Musk. I think the Republicans at the Rhode Island State House need to be more vocal to make it very clear that what I mean by this is Seth Magaziner, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, Congressman Gabe Amo, they're supposed to be representing everybody. And as you know, they're not representing everybody. They're only representing the far progressive left. And those are the voices that you heard and you're hearing, as a matter of fact, in the state. I did see, I did see something that some elements of the Democrat Party are starting to realize that maybe it's not the best idea to just embrace the progressive far left. But I don't think they're loud enough, because right now the only voices that you're hearing are the extreme voices of the far left. And I know that there are people that, and some of you out there, they're emailing Elon Musk. I think that's a waste of time. People can do whatever they want. There are people that are actually even emailing the White House. I think that's really a complete waste of time. I think the people that you need to be emailing and contacting are the congressmen, Congressman Magaziner and Congressman Amo. I'm looking at Seth Magaziner put, conservatives in my feed saying Trump's plan to eliminate the Department of Education is no big deal because only 12% of Rhode Island education funding comes from federal grants. Please name the 12% of Rhode Island teachers you think should be laid off. Well, again, these are all just public school teachers. These are all just public school teachers. And the fact of the matter is, in the city of Providence, for example, you don't need all of those schools. Let alone, folks, I haven't even touched on that if they start to get into how many children of illegals are in the public schools, then it just goes to even another level in the amount of money that is spent. It's essentially, as I've said, what a lot of the schools, Providence, Pawtucket, Central Falls, folks, really what it has come down to is it's expensive daycare for the children of illegals. That's what it is. Well, we've already seen the results. There's no learning involved. There's none of those kids are learning. They can't do math. They can't do English. By and large, it's all just, they go to these schools, they feed them breakfast, they feed them lunch, they keep them occupied till about 2:30 to 3 o'clock, and then they just go wherever. But the formula that they're using is not working. I think what we need more people to be vocal how they want Congressman Seth Magaziner and Congressman Gabe Amo, that that you should be reminding them that they work for you. They need to hear from people that say, when you're trying to fight the new administration and fight the various programs, and basically, as Rhode Island Congressman Seth Magaziner and Rhode Island Congressman Gabe Amo, as they're continuing and all they're doing is trying to fight the Trump administration, I believe they should be reminded that they're supposed to be representing all of their constituents. And if they keep doing that, they're not representing all their constituents. They're only representing their far left constituents. Folks, now on this windy day, maybe you've noticed that you have some branches that need to be trimmed. This is a great time of year that you could see some limbs and trees that need to be trimmed because you don't have the leaves. JD Lawn Care and Tree Service, give them a call, 401 441 0154. 401 441 0154. JD Lawn Care and Tree Service. Well, folks, good morning at 11:53. This is the real news. Juan is on assignment. I expect I will be completing my assignment later today, and then I think unless something breaks, that the rest of the week we should go back to normal schedule. But I can tell you that a lot of people in Washington are dumbfounded at the reaction of how the Rhode Island elected leaders, elected officials, because they're not leaders, and how they're reacting. That is going to go nowhere. Gabe Amo, Congressman Amo, Seth Magaziner, folks, they should make every attempt to work with the new administration. This is just preposterous, the direction that they're going, which is they have no design to do that. What people need to understand, and we've talked about it, is the current system of government. It's certainly not efficient. It's not working. People are not getting the services that they want. They're not getting the services that it's too much government. There's too many state workers. Local government takes far too much of our money and produces very poor services. That I don't even have to touch on the bridge situation. They're not operating efficient government. They just are content to run big government. And something else, the person I think who's least equipped to handle with it is in fact Governor McGreed. I mean, when you look back and he blew through all of that COVID money, I mean, he came into office and had $2 billion. Folks, and it's all gone. And what do they have to show for it? And I'm tired of everything becomes the homeless shelter. Turn this into a homeless shelter. Turn that into a homeless shelter. Well, what are you talking about? Who pays for that? I can tell you that there's no taxes coming out of any of those buildings. But I want you to look at the fact that you don't have a private company saying, I want to buy that building. Why? I want to buy that building and we're going to run our business here. You don't see any of that. You see that obviously in other places, but they're so business unfriendly. And they're so business unfriendly that as a result of that, as the federal money is becoming cut and less, there's no private sector to make up the difference. I think what was really eye-opening was the Providence Chamber of Commerce saying that so many of their participants or colleagues or members, that they're all reliant on government grants. Like, how is that a Chamber of Commerce? Chamber of Commerce is supposed to be private business. Instead, it's like they're all on the dole. It's someone that comes up with a scheme that they claim that they're going to run a business, but what's baked in are all these federal grants. And as long as everyone's getting a piece of the pie, everyone just seems to go along with it. But I'm telling you, it's coming to an end. It is absolutely coming to an end. Folks, this portion of the program, I did receive an email from, let's see, I think it was Nadia. Nadia needs a good plumber and asked me, who is the plumbing service that I recommend? J&B Plumbing. Call them today. Call the dream team of Tommy and Jimmy, 401-743-9153. J&B Plumbing. Plumbing repair service. They repair damaged water pipes. They repair clogged pipelines. They can replace water heaters. J&B Plumbing. Call them today, 401-743-9153. They're another one. I share their Facebook page called J&B Plumbing today, 401-743-9153. Well, folks, good morning again. This is The Real News. Now, the rest of the radio program will continue. As far as our live stream, I anticipate we're going to be live tonight, but it's still, it all depends on if I'm done and completed and back in action later, or it could go into tonight a little bit. I can tell you it's work related, and it is without question, it's an uphill climb trying to get people from the new administration. Folks, as I stated, they don't know what to make of the reaction in Rhode Island and all the resistance, all of the, um, we're going to be the resistance and we're going to fight this every step of the way. I think it's very unfair. I know it is to do that to all of the people that voted for the new administration, all of the people that want to see the state thrive. And instead, they're just following the agenda of the far less progressives. So if you're listening to the radio, stay tuned. We're going to break for the 12 o'clock news, and then we have a lot more to go. If you are watching our live stream, Game Time Decision definitely could be back in action later tonight. We will see. Stay warm on this Tuesday.